We got some interesting stuff in the latest Doctor Who trailer, and on the same day we got episode titles dropped. The first of which, that first episode, is called Space Babies. And some things in the trailer got me thinking, and I want to ask the question, is Ruby Sunday a space baby? Bear with me, I will explain.
It's you!
Space babies! Oh, it's in the universe, man!
Hi, I'm Phil. Welcome to my channel where I like to talk about geeky pop culture topics that interest me, including a lot about Doctor Who. So if that's your kind of thing, then press the subscribe button down below. Today, we are talking about Doctor Who, we are talking about space babies, we are talking about Ruby Sunday and how they might be linked. So first, let's just recap what the mystery of Ruby Sunday is. As we saw in the Christmas special The Church on Ruby Road, Ruby herself was left abandoned as a baby on the church steps at the church on Ruby Road. She was left there by a mysterious figure in a hooded cloak who we still don't know much about. We know this mystery will play a big part of this season and the story arc, and the penultimate episode of the season is called The Legend of Ruby Sunday. It is entirely possible that that episode will also answer some questions but also pose more, but we will see. We know we're going to get something about Ruby towards the end of the season. But it's still a big mystery at the moment. We don't know what her origins are. We don't know who that person that dumped her on the church step, who that is. We don't know where she comes from. Is she even of Earth? So, bearing all that in mind, what do we know about the space babies? Well, the title was leaked a little while ago, but officially confirmed at the weekend with all the title reveals for the next season. And the trailer gives us a bit more information.
It's you!
Space babies!
That the title refers to literal babies. Literal talking babies.
Fine, I can talk. Now let's see if you can listen.
How intelligent they are, we don't know. We only hear them say one line, but they are intelligent enough to talk. And I don't know about you, but I kind of got the impression that the babies were alone on this spaceship, apart from maybe the boogeymen, but other than that, there's no we don't see any adults on this spaceship, adult humans on this spaceship. So I guess they don't have any carers on board looking after them. Unless the boogeymen are the carers. Now that would be a twist. But for this theory, the most important aspect isn't the fact that they do talk, it is what they say. Because that little baby says,
It's you!
It's you. Presumably when they see the Doctor and Ruby. Now, they could be talking to the Doctor, or they could be talking to Ruby. They might recognise her. The other relevant clip from the trailer is this one, where Ruby is staring out at space, presumably from the window of the space station. But, more importantly, what's at the side of the image are some kind of scientific tubes where some kind of life form is being grown, kind of looks humanoid. So I think these are probably the babies. We know this is from episode 1 because of the costume Ruby is wearing, which matches with everything else we've seen from this particular episode and the end of Church on Ruby Road when she first enters the TARDIS. But yeah, those life forms on the side of the tubes, maybe all these babies are themselves a scientific experiment. They have been created for a purpose. That's kind of the obvious stuff we can glean from these images and from these clips, but now onto the wild speculation part of the video. What if Ruby was one of these experiments? Grown on the station. Perhaps scientists have been working on this project for years, never quite fully achieving their goal, creating lots of intelligent babies, babies that can talk, but never quite achieving whatever it is they're trying to achieve, never imbuing a child with the particular aspects that they wanted to imbue them with, some kind of special ability, perhaps a power or something like that, but then they finally do it. But somebody thinks it's not a good idea for them to have this baby and kidnaps the baby. This would be the person in the hooded cloak. So they steal baby Ruby from the space station, have some kind of time travel capabilities themselves, and go off to deposit them at the church on Ruby Road. Now that kind of indicates that they have some kind of foreknowledge that the baby will be alright there. So who is the person in the hooded cloak? Well, there's still multiple options. That could be a whole separate video, but yeah, it could be an older Ruby. Maybe adult Ruby goes back to the station and rescues her baby self from there to deposit her where she knows she is found by the priest and raised by a loving family and rescued by the doctor. Maybe it's just a scientist that works at the station, but then you kind of, maybe the foreknowledge isn't there. Maybe, as people have speculated, it's another version of the Doctor, a future version, or a past version, or an alternate universe version. There are many options, let's not delve into that now. The point for this theory is someone rescues baby Ruby from that space station and deposits them at the church on Ruby Road to save the baby, or to save the universe, or for some reason like that. This baby isn't going to be well looked after at this station, and this person rescues them from that situation. Now this type of setup has been done in Doctor Who before, most prominently by Stephen Moffat, where there's an element of an early episode in a season where you think, oh, this element is just for this one-off story, and then it comes back into play later on in the season. Think The Gangers, for instance, where they were introduced and then later Amy's baby, or what Amy and Rory thought was their baby, ends up being a ganger as a duplicate, so Madame Kavarian could go off with the real baby. Or the shape-shifting Tesseract robots, which were introduced in Let's Kill Hitler, but then played a very prominent role being basically a fake doctor with a little mini real doctor inside it later on to be killed by River Song. Those kind of things are very Stephen Moffat-y, more than Russell T Davies. But it's not like Russell T Davies hasn't done similar things before, hasn't introduced elements early on in the season that come back into play later. Think, for instance, Satellite 5 in Series 1. So it's not completely without precedent for RTD to do either. But this isn't a theory without problems. I mean, there are holes in this, I will admit, but they're not holes that couldn't be plugged. You've got the whole it being more of a Moffat-style thing, okay, but Russell T Davies has done it. You've got the question of why wouldn't baby Ruby, when she's deposited on Earth, be able to speak if she's from that same space station? We see the baby's there, speaking. Why would baby Ruby not speak to that priest, speak to the adoption people, speak to Kara, her adopted mum? Why is she just grown up like a normal baby if this is true? And there are loads of reasons why that could end up being the case. Maybe she's a freshly birthed from the tubes baby, whereas those other babies we see talking are a bit older. Maybe there's something to do with it being the talking being tied to the technology of the station and not just a mental capacity thing. Why doesn't Ruby remember any of this? Well, again, similar things. Maybe because she was freshly born, she hadn't quite developed the cognitive skills yet, and they slowed down when she was removed out of that environment. Or maybe the scientist, person that rescued her, whoever did something to her to suppress the abilities that the scientists had given her. I'm not saying this theory doesn't have some holes, but I think they can be plugged if the writing is strong enough. What do you think of this theory? Is it likely, or is there no chance in hell? Let me know in the comments below. And also let me know if you think this is even more wacky than my theory that Susan Twist might be a humanoid TARDIS. Be playing a humanoid TARDIS. Check that out by clicking here. And I'll see you for more Doctor Who videos soon. Goodbye.